Television New Zealand presents live coverage of the Rothmans Cup One-Day International from Lancaster Park in Christchurch. Good morning, everybody, from Christchurch. We have an overcast day in the Garden City today, but the weather is reasonably fine and play will start on time at 10 o'clock in this, the second of 4 50-over limited overs one-day internationals for the Rothmans Cup. A crowd of 28,000 people expected here today, and already they're beginning to pour into Lancaster Park. We should have a marvellous occasion today. It's a very festive atmosphere pervading Lancaster Park at the moment. The 3ZB band is playing. There's plenty of expectancy in the air, and we're looking forward to a day in which plenty of runs will be scored. Well, as far as the teams are concerned for this match today, the New Zealand side is unchanged from that which won by 29 runs on Wednesday in Dunedin. We suspect that once again Ken Rutherford will open the batting with John Wright coming down the order. Bruce Blair has been retained and Jeff Crow remains as the New Zealand 12th man. Stephen Bock, of course, not coming to Christchurch for this game. The Australian side is also exactly the same as that which played in Dunedin on Wednesday. Boone and Marsh to open, Phillips, Border, Ritchie, Matthews and Waugh, and then McDermott, Gilbert, Davis and Reid to be the four-pronged Australian seam attack. Tim Zera is the 12th man, with Ray Bright being omitted from the Australian touring party of 13. So that's the story as far as the teams are concerned, exactly the same as those which played in Dunedin on Wednesday. Now it's time to check on the condition of the pitch and of the ground. Here's Grant Nisbet and Billy Abdallah.
Well, Billy, first impressions are that this pitch looks to be a very good one-day pitch.
It certainly looks very dry to me and very firm too. The grass which has got on it is very dry. Ideal pitch for a one-day match is a one which is going to produce round about 500 runs. That's during the day, of course, and I think we may just get that. From the entertainment point of view, this is going to be a fairly good pitch. And of course, the authorities, I noticed they have also brought the boundaries a little closer. So there is no reason why there shouldn't be lots of runs scored today. But again, having said that, emphasis is again going to be on seam bowling.
Yes, it looks very dry, doesn't it? Doesn't look as though there'll be a lot of swing or seam for the bowlers.
Not really, no, but we never know how much moisture there is beneath the surface, and of course that does play a great deal of part. I've got a feeling it'll move about, it'll seam off the pitch, right. And obviously if we are going to have the cloudy conditions today, then it'll swing in the air as well. But basically it looks a very good one-day pitch to me.
So you reckon 250 would be a good score on this?
I think there is no reason, if a side is batting properly and correctly, there is no reason why they shouldn't get 250 or so, not even more.
I talked to local officials about the shortening of the boundaries here at Lancaster Park today. In fact, I've been told that on the sides the boundaries are only 60 metres from the pitch, and on the straight hit it's only 58 metres, plus the 22 yards, of course, of the pitch. So very short boundaries here at Lancaster Park today, and that should mean one or two extra boundaries, therefore plenty of runs, just what the crowd loves to see in one-day cricket. Well, now it's time to check on the toss, and out in the middle now, Grant Nisbet is with the two captains.
Eldon, you won the toss. What are you doing?
We've decided to bowl again, for no particular reason, just that just think maybe better off chasing.
What's your first impressions of the track here?
It looks an excellent track, so hopefully there'll be plenty of runs scored today, and we'll score one more than them.
And after all the publicity of the last couple of days, a bit of pressure on the boys today?
Well, obviously, yeah, there's a little bit of pressure every time you go out, but in particular today, it's just it'd be nice to finish the tour on a better note than what's happened so far. So we're pretty keen to do well.
Thanks, Alan. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jerry, hovering in the background. Nice music, isn't it?
It's excellent, isn't it? Very nice to play cricket too.
What's your first impression of the wicket here?
Yeah, it looks a good Christchurch strip actually. I was a bit concerned that they may go over the amount of rain over the last few days, but then perhaps the water table's a little bit higher than normal. But we'll just have to wait and see. We won't give them much option anyway.
No, correct, right. And the boundaries are a bit short. Should be a lot of runs scored.
Yeah, I think it'll be a reasonably high-scoring match today, particularly if the track doesn't nip around for too long.
OK, Jerry, thanks very much and good luck.
Thanks, Ray.
So Australia have won the toss, and they've sent New Zealand into bat. New Zealand batting, that's the way it was in Carisbrook, of course, on Wednesday as well. Well, we have a very busy day of sport for you today here on Sport on One. Apart from the cricket, we also have, during the lunch break, a big bout from the Commonwealth Games boxing trials at the Avalon Studios with the heavyweight clash between Michael Kenny, who represented New Zealand, of course, at the Olympic Games in Los Angeles, and he's fighting the up-and-coming Jimmy Piao. So that's live just after the lunch break starts in the cricket. Also, during the lunch break, we'll have bowls for you, more from the New Zealand-Australia test at Matamata. That bowls action on for you at 1:45. Back to the cricket for the second innings of this match at 2:15. We'll be interrupting the second innings of this cricket match for the Golden Slipper Stakes live from Rosehill in Sydney with Scotch and Dry as New Zealand's major hope in this world's richest race for 2-year-olds. More cricket at 4:25, and then we'll summarise the day's sport at 10 minutes to 6. And just a word, there will be no live coverage of the Tancred Stakes from Rosehill today because it falls outside the normal Sport on 1 transmission time. We'll play not far away from starting here at Lancaster Park. Jeff Howarth is with me. Jeff, Alan Border has won the toss and sent New Zealand into bat. I suppose in a one-day game, the winning of the toss not necessarily all that important with a pitch that looks as flat as this one does.
Well, it depends on what Alan Border thinks his team is most capable of, Peter. I think it's a pretty brave move, but considering the fact that the wicket looks a belter and a lot of runs will be scored, and plus the fact that the boundaries are short, it could be a bit of an advantage for the Australian sides to be chasing runs. So obviously he's thought about it, and he thinks that's the best way for his team to win.
So even though he's won the toss and set New Zealand in, it could be a very big score that his team has to chase in the second innings because of the conditions we've talked about.
I think for New Zealand's sake, yes. I think, like I said, as the wicket is good and the pitch, the boundaries are short, one that really doesn't know what a good total is, but I should think New Zealand will be looking for something about 250, but even then they could be a few runs short.
All right, Jeff Howarth, thank you for those brief comments. More from Jeff throughout the day. We'll take a short break here from Lancaster Park and return with the start of this Rothmans Cup One-Day International in just a moment.
For top cyclist Craig Adair, a typical day's training means going the extra distance. Now get even more go with king-size Morrow. Get that extra energy with the goodness of milk, glucose, creamy caramel, and thick Cadbury chocolate.
We've established a new material in New Zealand that's rapidly changing old ideas on roofing, because these are no ordinary roofs. These look this good and this finished the minute they went up. And better still, they'll look this good for years. Because this is colour steel, with a 6-coat, 2-sided baked-on colour finish that costs little more than a new, freshly painted roof. Specified colour steel, it's taking New Zealand by storm.
And welcome back to Lancaster Park for the start of the second Rothmans One-Day International between New Zealand and Australia. New Zealand batting after Alan Border won the toss. Crowd pouring into Lancaster Park, still a lot of room here, but one would imagine it'll be pretty full as the day goes on. Ken Rutherford again is in opening with Bruce Edgar. In fact, it will be Ken Rutherford to take the first delivery of the morning, and the bowler will be Craig McDermott to open up. So we're almost set to go. Good morning to Billy Abadala.
Good morning, Grant. Good morning, everyone. Conditions quite good here. Sun just trying to break through, but otherwise the skies look pretty good for the day. And McDermott, who bowled so well in his first spell in the first international, one-day international in Dunedin, is opening the bowling to Ken Rutherford.
Looks to be a very good batting pitch, this one. It's quite dry out there, and as you can see, the grass has been shaved off it, and we're looking for a fairly high-scoring game here at Lancaster Park today.
The first thing we have got to see here, or try to notice here, is that if there is any seam movement in the pitch. The first one was a straightforward delivery. Rutherford didn't have too many problems in dealing with that one.
A little bit of lift there for Craig McDermott, who's probably the quickest bowler in either side, and of late he's been certainly working very hard. Didn't bowl particularly well though in Dunedin, McDermott.
We certainly see that delivery lifting rather quickly off the pitch here. McDermott, very strong young man, when he delivers the ball, puts everything into it. The body force goes into his each and every delivery, and so does his shoulder force. Very good aggressive action there.
Ken Rutherford looking for the first run, but it's not there as Bruce Reid runs across from mid-on. Craig McDermott starting with a fairly aggressive field. He's got a couple of slips there. You can see David Boone, hands behind back. Alan Border at second. As we come out now, we go round to the gully. So there are players in three catching positions there. McDermott again to Ken Rutherford. No score on the board as yet. Ball swinging away outside the off stump.
Here we see that outswing is seaming away from right to left, but off target. Rutherford sees the swing, the cut, and lets it go.
These two players, Ken Rutherford and Bruce Edgar, got New Zealand away to a very good start in Dunedin on Wednesday with a 65-run opening partnership. Not a very confident appeal from McDermott. Phillips went up. McDermott really only joined in later. Fred Goodall, the umpire, said no.
And Rutherford seems to be playing too much across the line for an opening batsman. And here we see him again to a straightish delivery, trying to play it on the onside. That's asking for trouble. That was well on the front foot and rather high, but Rutherford should be really looking to play with the full face of the bat here, at least for a while, until he's got his eye in.
So Craig McDermott starts with a maiden over, 1 over bowled, no runs on the board. Second over about to start at Lancaster Park. Remembering that New Zealand are batting after Alan Border won the toss. The first over bowled by Craig McDermott was a maiden to Ken Rutherford. And now it's going to be Bruce Edgar to face this man, Simon Davis, who bowled outstandingly well in Dunedin. His 10 overs cost him just 12 runs. Very difficult man to get away. Bruce Edgar batted well in Dunedin for 35. And he's about now to take the first ball from Simon Davis. Good tight delivery from Davis.
Davis has got this knack of bowling this wonderful line and good length in one-day cricket. In one-day cricket, a bowler can't afford to go on the leg stump because the batsmen have got the freedom of flicking the ball or lifting it on the leg side. And the bowler shouldn't really go too far on the offside either, because the batsman can swing the bat freely. And his length should be such that the batsman can't really drive him off the front foot. And Davis seems to do everything absolutely right for one-day cricket.
Well, bad misfielding by Greg Ritchie. So New Zealand underway, a misfield by Ritchie. Edgar has that 1 run.
Edgar playing that ball pleasantly off his pads, straight to Ritchie, but misfield there. Edgar would be happy with that one.
Now it's the right-handed Ken Rutherford in strike. Simon Davis in the second over. New Zealand 1 without loss, batting first. Easy single, really. There was a lot of hesitation between the two New Zealand batsmen before they finally went.
Simon Davis straight away on target here, just slanting the ball into Ken Rutherford, who plays it with the inner half of the bat on the leg side. Only 2 men there, takes a single. He's off the mark as well.
Nicely placed stroke by Edgar. Ball going quickly over the outfield. 2 runs for Bruce Edgar. 4 without loss in the second over.
The Australians are still leaving that gap on the onside. They've only got 2 men there, a mid-on and a backward square leg. And there is a big gap there between the 2 fieldsmen. That's the gap. And New Zealanders have already taken 4 runs in that area. I wonder how long it'll be before Border blocks that gap. Simon Davis, medium pacer, just above medium pace, but marvellous control over length and line for one-day cricket. Doesn't really give the batsman much chance to drive his deliveries of the front foot, and he doesn't go all that short either, so the batsman can go back to cut him or pull him on the leg side. Just a perfect one-day bowler, this man Davis.
So no run off the last ball of the over, and 2 overs completed now. New Zealand 4 without loss. Good solid start by New Zealand. Craig McDermott now to bowl the 3rd over of the innings. Ken Rutherford to take strike. No appeal from McDermott.
Ken Rutherford there, yes, that's a better stroke, I think, Ken, but have a look at it. He's still working the ball on the onside, playing across the line. The ball was in line with middle and leg, going down the leg side, but even though Rutherford should be really looking to rely on his straight bat play for a while, till he gets in on this, which appears to be quite an easy pace pitch.
Quick single taken, well run. Bruce Reid, the fieldsman. We'll see a lot more of him later.
New Zealanders find that gap again. That's the big one. The big gap between mid-on and backward square leg. Another single. Runs coming nicely in that area for New Zealand.
Ken Rutherford now at the non-striker's end. He's on 2. Bruce Edgar to take strike to Craig McDermott for the first time today. Good bowling here by McDermott. He appears to have cut his pace back considerably and is just trying to land it on the spot. Bowled rather erratically in Dunedin on Wednesday, but has started well here at Lancaster Park.
Young man with a lot of promise, McDermott. Test cricket, I feel he has come very far and very fast. It was only just over 12 months ago when he made his test debut for Australia. Since then, he has been the strike bowler for his country. He's been to England, bowled awful lot of overs there in the Test series. In fact, on the whole tour, he bowled over 400 overs. A lot of burden, a lot of pressure has been put on this young man, and he seems to be doing his job pretty well.
Field for LBW again. Not out, says Fred Goodall.
Good delivery by McDermott. Yorker length. Edgar looking to hit the ball on the outside. Goodish appeal by the Australians, but Edgar well in front of his batting crease. Edgar, who looked in such a good touch in Dunedin in the first one-day international, has already played 1 or 2 very pleasant looking strokes on the onside here.
Another good tight delivery from Craig McDermott ends another good over from him. After 4 overs, it's 5 without loss. 3 overs in fact gone, 5 without loss. Now it's Simon Davis to Ken Rutherford. Umpire at the far end is Roger McHarg, and the other umpire today is Fred Goodall.
Davis here very much on target, hasn't moved the ball a great deal. Rutherford just looking perhaps to play across the line too much early on in his innings.
Single call for by Rutherford, well run. Greg Matthews, the fieldsman.
And pitch doesn't seem to be all that quick here. See how much time Rutherford has got to go forward, then come back and then play the ball between the bowler and mid-on. Nice easy single, nicely played, that one.
Ken Rutherford on 3 at the non-striker's end. Now it's Davis to Edgar.
Davis, one-day specialist seam bowler, has played a lot of cricket in England. He's played club cricket for Darlington, north of England, and for Durham in minor counties, and once took 7 wickets for 32 runs against Lancashire in Gillett Cup competition, one of the first one-day competitions introduced in the world. And he's pretty well known for his tight one-day seam bowling in England.
Another quick single. Leg by signalled. Well run again by the New Zealand openers. 7 without loss in the 4th over.
Davis again on target here. Edgar comes forward, gets it on the front pad, and a very good, cheeky but good single.
Not a lot the fielding side can do about the ball that just drops almost dead. Once again, Rutherford trying to find the gap between mid-on and the bowler.
That's a good one-day delivery here, getting Rutherford to come forward, but Rutherford can only play defensively, can't drive the ball. Line was right, roundabout off stump. No room for the batsman to swing his bat or his arms. Length was perfect. He had to play defensively. And that's the type of bowler this man Davis is.
Nice stroke by Rutherford. Another chase for Ritchie. Should get to it. And the New Zealand batsmen complete 3 runs. Last ball of the over, so at the end of 4 overs now, New Zealand 10 without loss. 10 runs on the board after 4 overs. Now Craig McDermott to Ken Rutherford. Edge, oh, didn't carry to David Boone. Couple of runs here for Rutherford, rather fortuitously. Just appeared to drop short and to the left of David Boone.
Good delivery by McDermott. Finds the outside edge of Rutherford's bat. No pace in the pitch. The ball drops very quickly in front of first slip. Slip fieldsman perhaps a little bit too deep. At least a yard closer they should be. Outer edge dropped safely in front of Boone at first slip. 2 more runs to Rutherford.
Quite frankly, David Boone looked half asleep at first slip. David Boone didn't really make a big effort for that. It didn't fall very far short. Stroke by Rutherford, looking for 2. Simon Davis with the throw, easily completed 2 runs. Rutherford goes to 10, 14 without loss. Let's have another look now at that ball that's snicked past David Boone. See if it carries. Well, a little more effort and it might have carried. It was a pretty half-hearted affair, really, by the first slip. Good ball from McDermott, cutting back on Ken Rutherford.
That's a good one, slanted in, getting Rutherford to come forward, beating the bat, hits him, came back very quickly, hit him on the front pad, but my word, that did cut back. That's good bowling by McDermott, and in slanter right on target. So McDermott is getting that cut both ways towards the slips and then brings one back towards the leg stump.
Well, run again. The New Zealand running already here at Lancaster Park is better than it was at Carisbrook.
And again, New Zealand is taking another single on the onside. Australians will have to do something about that. But a very good piece of running between wickets there. Just two men there. Rutherford plays it. Not quite in the middle of the bat, but the single was there and they took it.
15 without loss, coming to the end of the 5th over. McDermott now to Bruce Edgar. Missed the leg stump by too much, taken by Wayne Phillips. The end of the over, and New Zealand 15 without loss.
Last ball of the previous over. Edgar going a bit too far across his stumps, exposing his leg stump again to the bowler. He's done that once or twice and has been out playing that shot.
Nice stroke again by Rutherford. Should get 2 runs here. As McDermott sends, as usual, a lovely throw in.
In slanter from Davis. Rutherford runs on the leg side again. 2 this time. He's on 13, picking his runs nicely, Rutherford, on the onside. He's also played a very nice off drive, back foot off square.
Simon Davis has almost conceded as many runs in 2 and a bit overs as he did in his whole stint of 10 at Carisbrook. Already 10 runs off 2.2 overs.
And again we see Rutherford not keeping the bat straight, although he was playing it on the offside, and yet soon after he played the ball, the bat was tending to move on the onside. Something Rutherford will have to improve on, I think, as an opener, especially when dealing with new balls.
May look for the second. No, Dave Gilbert was there quickly. And Simon Davis is being unusually expensive. That's 11 runs now off 2 and a bit overs.
Again, Rutherford plays that pleasantly. The ball was in line with middle and leg. Played it correctly, and that gap again. 2 more. Just another run to Rutherford that time.
And a strike is Bruce Edgar.
Now we see the Australians have brought that extra man on the onside. Alan Border himself coming there in that short mid-wicket position to check that single. And that's a better looking field for the Australians. So a bit of control is being applied on the onside. So the runs are not going to come all that easily from now on if 3 men are going to be there to check that single.
Greg Matthews fielding down at mid-on. Australia didn't use a spinner in the match in Dunedin at all. They bowled their 5 medium paces. Stephen Moore also bowling out 10. So we didn't see Greg Matthews. We saw something of John Bracewell. But really the big plus for New Zealand, Stephen Moore, the big plus for New Zealand is that Martin Crowe was able to bowl so well and bowl out his 10 overs. New Zealand here 18 without loss, coming to the end of over number 6. Alan Border well placed in that position at short mid-wicket. That's the end of the 6th over, 18 without loss. New Zealand maintaining a rate of 3 runs per over. Quite a satisfactory start from New Zealand's point of view. Most of the scoring coming from Ken Rutherford, who's had more strike than Bruce Edgar. And here he is again facing. The bowler is Craig McDermott. Well run again. Good understanding between these two.
And another single there on the onside. Rutherford plays that deliberately. He knows there is a single there. See how he shuts the face of the bat to find direction there and takes a single. That's good, intelligent batting by Ken Rutherford.
No boundary so far. New Zealand batsmen just been content to push and run. That would have been suicide.
And Edgar plays one square on the leg side, goes for a single. It's very close to the fieldsman. That's asking for trouble, but Rutherford sends his partner back very quickly. That would have been rather dangerous.
Away they go again. They seem to be picking out the fieldsman. Bruce Reid several times has been the fieldsman, and the batsmen have been prepared to take him on.
Australians coming really under pressure here, but have a look at this delivery, how quickly it hits the bat. Edgar plays just in front of him, and they are away. Edgar and Rutherford, another nice sharp single. It's top class running between wickets here by the New Zealand openers.
Greg Matthews fielding down at mid-on. New Zealand at 20 without loss. 7th over being bowled.
Ken Rutherford looking quite safe on this pitch, which hasn't really produced any delivery yet of real pace, and I don't think it's going to do that. We can call it a fairly easy pace pitch.
Another good tight delivery from Craig McDermott, who really has bowled very well today, much better than we saw him in Dunedin. On the other hand, Simon Davis this morning has been a little astray.
McDermott here, just cutting the ball now and again off the seam and keeping a fairly good control over his line. He hasn't gone too far away from the stumps.
Australians have put Greg Matthews in at mid-on now. That's cut down that short single, and that's the end of the over. 7 overs bowled. New Zealand 20 without loss. 8th over starting. Simon Davis to Bruce Edgar. Field by Davis, turned down by Roger McHarg.
Edgar, they 29 years of age, 16 innings, 6 not out. Just over 1,600 runs at a fairly good average of 31.24, 950s and 1 century. High score 102 against Australia.
That's a much better stroke from Edgar. Lovely fielding by, you guessed it, Greg Matthews.
And Edgar plays that on drive, doesn't hit the ball all that hard, was looking to time the ball, which he did, but didn't quite find the gap there. Good piece of fielding there by Matthews. Have a look at this well-timed on drive. Not a lot of power, just timing it, but very smart Matthews stops that.
Again, Edgar take it on the foot.
And a seaming delivery from Simon here. Edgar looking to hit the ball on the onside. The ball cut away from him. Spoilt his stroke. But Edgar certainly looking at good touch here. Middling the ball nicely, and when he is hitting the ball, he is hitting it quite firmly. And the pace of the pitch here should suit his style of batting.
Again taken on the pad. Again Davis's appeal is turned down. He had no support that time from his wicketkeeper.
And Edgar again looking to play the ball on the onside. The ball cutting away rather high, well in front of the stumps. But both batsmen, Edgar and Rutherford, have tried to find that onside gap quite often. They have got few runs there, but have also missed one or two deliveries and few problems with the shape of the ball here. It's gone out of shape, I think. So the two umpires are going to discuss the shape of that ball. If they both agree, then we might see a replacement. Otherwise, the same ball will be used. Or they'll use it for some time anyway.
Chance for the batsman to have a little chat. Looks like Fred Goodall is going to run away and change the ball. So we're going to have something of a hold up here. We'll be back at Lancaster Park after this break. Welcome back to Lancaster Park. You've missed no action at all. Fred Goodall is now back on the field, and umpires McCarg and Goodall are now in the process of trying to make the ball similar to the one that went out of shape. And we've just been joined by John Morrison. Morning, John.
Good morning, Grant. This is a bit of a problem probably because there's not a great supply of white balls that have been used in the past. The old ones have been used for 7 overs. Roger McCarg just trying to wear the new one down a bit to get it to that same stage. Interesting in New Zealand with the one-day games, they only use one white ball. In Australia, there's one at each end. Interesting start to this morning. New Zealand getting away quite well, but a very good wicket. And one wonders what will be a reasonable score. 250 plus, I would imagine. And there is a feeling that maybe the batsmen need to get on with the job right from the outset here.
Sunshine coming out now as Davis to Edgar. Fieldsman in the gully is Stephen Waugh. I think we're in for a lovely day here in Christchurch. It was overcast this morning, but the sun now poking through, and no question that the weather will intervene here today. Coming up to the end of the 8th over here, and New Zealand 20 without loss. Ken Rutherford on 15, Bruce Edgar on 4. Good tight delivery from Davis, so the 8th over does end with New Zealand 20 without loss. 9th over starting now. Craig McDermott to Ken Rutherford. Ken Rutherford a long way from that one, pushing somewhere near it.
Well wide this delivery, but Ken Rutherford going after it. He didn't really get within cooey of it. Interesting move here by Border because he's retained 3 men catching since the outset of this game. He doesn't have to have 3. There's 2 slips in a gully there. He only needs to have 2. with a very good wicket. One wonders whether he should have another man defending, maybe on that leg side.
Once again, it's Stephen Moore, who's one of those catching players John was talking about. He's in the gully. And you can see the two slips there. Alan Border at second and David Byrne at first.
A wee bit of a half-hearted effort earlier on by David Byrne, I felt. That chance, maybe it wasn't a chance, we're doing him an injustice. But he seemed a little bit lackadaisical in first slip. Just a quiet little left hand went down.
Once again, picking out Bruce Reid. They were going to try again, but that time it was going rather too quickly. Australians have pushed Matthews across to the onside.
Certainly keen on the single there, but Bruce Reid was just hovering in a little closer than he had been earlier. He's not the quickest man in the field. Long way to bend down, of course. And the New Zealanders have been sorting him out a wee bit for the singles.
Well, that's a lovely stroke. Chase for Jeff Marsh. Won't get to the fence, but the batsman should get 3. Or hesitation. Probably should have got 3. And in the end, they had to settle for 2.
Ken Rutherford going after this one outside the off stump. Got hold of it pretty well. Didn't quite get it to the boundary. But interesting shot. Wasn't really quite to it. Just stood there, but stroked right through it. Hit it away.
There's a repeat of it. Again, Marsh has the chase. Now see if they can manage 3 this time. No, oh, there's a mix-up and a... Oh, no! What a terrible mix-up. Craig McDermott dropped the ball and Ken Rutherford's home. Well, what a let-off.
Well, interestingly enough, Ken Rutherford also dropped his bat. And here's Rutherford. What a good shot it was out through the covers. And the New Zealand batsman took off here. And we'll watch what Ken Rutherford does. A good throw back by Marsh, but an absolute disaster. Look at that ball. And dropped by McDermott. Rutherford nowhere to be seen. He didn't have a bat in his hand, and he slid into home base. The best thing was the shot by Ken Rutherford earlier, but absolute pandemonium from there on.
Well, New Zealand have survived the over. That's 9 overs completed now and 25 without loss.
Simon Davis, they continue, but there's Craig McDermott, who we're just wondering how on earth he missed that very easy return throw that bounced in, and hasn't had much joy lately, Craig McDermott, and we welcome Peter Williams to the commentary.
Thank you, John. It's Davis bowling to Rutherford. So 25 without loss. Australia not without their chances. We're into the 10th over. 1 half chance has been missed by David Byrne at first slip. And then there was that absolute comedy of errors just off the second to last ball of the last over. Just the sort of thing that would really annoy Alan Border, particularly considering his current mood. McDermott is the fieldsman at fine leg. We'll wait for umpire Roger McCarthy's signal. There is none, so it's a run. 26 without loss, Rutherford 21, and Edgar on 4. Alan Border has made these well publicised comments over the last day or so that he is considering resigning the captaincy of Australia if his team doesn't perform better. Well, they haven't started off very well this morning.
Interesting looking at the Australian performance throughout this tour, because they really felt they'd got a team together after the one-day series in Australia and thought they'd got their act together and that the test would go well. Very hopeful and keen to win it. And then all of a sudden in one morning in Auckland, it all fell apart. They still believed they were pretty well set for the one-dayers, and I think the loss in Dunedin really shattered the show and the wheels fell off the operation altogether.
Comes down really to a question of experience in the end. I think I suggested on television before the test series even started that New Zealand, because of their superior experience, would probably be the better performed unit in this series, and I think that perhaps is what it's really come down to. The Australians, a very young side, had the one bad morning, but they don't yet have that shall we say necessary moral fibre to be able to come back from a bad day like that. It's a thing they'll learn, we hope.
Maybe, Peter, we hope that they don't. But certainly I think that that was the case in the end of the test series. They've got some very promising young players, but Border's the only man out there that's played for any length of time with any great success. And really the test series was a war of attrition, and on 3 occasions throughout the 3 tests the Australians had the winning of the game, or the opportunity, if they were good enough. But in the final analysis they weren't, so they went down.
Well run by Edgar into the offside. Not exactly a good attempt at shying at the stumps there by Jeff Marsh. The over is completed now by Simon Davis, and it's 27 without loss. So New Zealand's run rate perhaps a little under what they would have desired, but they haven't lost a wicket, and that's important at this stage. McDermott to Edgar. Nice shot by Bruce Edgar. Jeff Marsh once again with the chase. 2 runs taken. So Edgar is 7. He's faced 29 balls to get to 7.
It's a good shot by Bruce Edgar, and it really is time that Bruce Edgar started putting bat to ball. This is a very good wicket here, and one feels that New Zealand must look at that 250 odd mark. More if they can, of course.
So we're in the 11th over. McDermott to Edgar. No run. Sharp piece of fielding just behind square. It's Jeff Marsh again.
Again, Edgar looking to clip it away on the onside, but this time he found the fieldsman, so no run. Interestingly enough, Border's still retaining those 3 men catching, which I can't quite understand, because he only needs to have 2. There he is himself close in on the leg side. That would classify as a catching position.
Edgar finds the gap on the offside. A chase on here for Matthews. And they're back for 3 very easily. New Zealand to 32, and Bruce Edgar with a real spurt of scoring here. He's gone to 10. 5 runs off the over so far.
Well-timed shot this by Bruce Edgar. Just stroking the ball down the ground. Outfield fairly fast. Boundaries reasonably short. Greg Matthews very quickly after it.
Now Rutherford is the batsman facing McDermott. Off the edge. This could be the first boundary of the day. It is. The snick was too fine for third man to get to.
Just pushing wide, Ken Rutherford. Didn't quite get to it, but got the thick outside edge, and that was what the doctor ordered, because it flew away down there for 4. I think Craig McDermott had a little word to Ken Rutherford there. Fairly aggressive young man, Craig McDermott. Hasn't had much joy lately. Taking a bit of stick in this over.
So we've had 9 runs off 4 balls in this over from McDermott, and Ken Rutherford's gone through to 25. That was the grunt ball from McDermott, that extra bit of effort, and it paid off. A good delivery.
That was a good delivery, and a wee bit of movement away from Ken Rutherford, just pushing at it. very close to that outside edge. And it looks like Alan Border may be bringing in a second slip. He's been fielding himself out on the leg side, and he's now brought himself across to second slip. David Byrne at first slip, and he also has a gully, Stephen Waugh, a fairly squarish gully.
Coming towards the end of the 11th over. Dug in just a little shorter by McDermott. Not much life for him there. So 11 overs completed here at Lancaster Park. It's 36 without loss. A very pleasant day in Christchurch for the second Rothmans Cup One-Day International. Simon Davis to continue. He's starting his 6th over. Bruce Edgar thinking about a quick single. So Bruce Edgar's faced 32 deliveries now for his 10 runs. Ken Rutherford, in comparison, has faced 3 more balls, but he's scored 15 more runs. Rutherford on 25. The New Zealand opening combination for this one-day series, once again working well. John Wright dropping down the order. Simon Davis somewhat more expensive today than he was at Carisbrook on Wednesday.
It'll be interesting to see how the New Zealand attack performs on this wicket. As Peter Williams mentioned, the wicket here a little better than Dunedin. Not that it wasn't a good wicket there. It was a very good one for the one-day game, and a very good game followed. But the New Zealand camp there, Richard Hadley, just resting quietly at the moment.
He's got his car, so he's very content. It was delivered yesterday, apparently.
Glenn Turner, New Zealand cricket team coach, just discussing a few points with Jeremy Coney. Jeremy Coney down to bat 4 today. Martin Crowe number 3 next in. So a fairly solid looking batting lineup with John Wright at 5, Bruce Blair at 6.
Runs into the leg side. Fine piece of fielding by Matthews out of wide mid-on. Just 1 to Edgar. He goes to 11, and New Zealand 37 without loss in the 12th.
Bruce Edgar just trying to work it away on the onside, and a fine piece of fielding. Greg Matthews always prepared to throw himself around the park. Australian fielding this morning been scratchy in a lot of areas, but not with this man, Greg Matthews.
And talking off cars, just a reminder that entries close for the catch of the match competition on Monday. No run. Marsh, the fieldsman, just behind square. So entry forms available at your Toyota dealer. This is the first prize in the Toyota Catch of the Match competition, the Corona Amon, the 2-litre GLI liftback, fine motor car. And that's the prize that we'll be drawing for at Eden Park next Saturday in the Toyota Catch of the Match competition. You've seen the catches plenty of times, of course, and the entries close on the 24th. That's Monday, 2 days away. Rutherford with a fine shot. Marsh has no chance. Ken Rutherford to 29. It's 41 without loss, and that's the end of the 12th over.
Last ball of Simon Davis is over. Dropped it in short, and Rutherford was there. Went into the pull shot, hit it away, backward a square, 4 runs.
.41 without loss, 12 overs completed, and now a change in the bowling with Craig McDermott having finished his opening spell. McDermott bowled 6 overs, took none for 22, and Bruce Reid to replace him from the city end, the northern end of Lancaster Park. Reid pretty expensive in Carisbrook the other day, 1 for 53 off 10. Let's see if he can find a better line and length today. Really inauspicious start for Bruce Reid, but it's 4 runs to Bruce Edgar.
Good shot by Bruce Edgar. Foolish outside the off stump, and he crashed it away. Square of the wicket. Reasonably short boundary out there today. Thickish outside edge, but it certainly raced off the bat. And 4 runs. So a bad start for Bruce Reid.
Easy single. Just a little bit of bat onto the pad from Bruce Edgar. Played away quietly into the offside.
Good positive stuff by Bruce Edgar here, just pushing it down in front of him, realising that Ritchie was a little bit deep there. And he's not the quickest man in the world, Greg Ritchie.
So Bruce Edgar now to 16 off 37 deliveries. He's beginning to up the tempo. Ken Rutherford doing a fine job at the other end. New Zealand through to 46 without loss in the 13th over. It's not a very good ball from Bruce Reid, and he was lucky not to be punished. McDermott down at mid-off. Nice drivable half volley outside the off stump.
Giving Rutherford plenty of room there, and he hit it very sweetly, but straight to the man. Bruce Reid just struggling to get line and length. His great attribute is bounce, of course, but he's not allowed to bounce it above shoulder high in a one-day game, so he can't do much in that department.
Reid struggling to get a good length here with the right and left hand combination. 2 easy runs for Ken Rutherford. Rutherford to 31.
Again, Rutherford just able to work the ball away. What a good wicket this is proving. The ball coming on very well. Not much movement in the air or off the wicket. So I think we're going to see a lot of runs scored at Lancaster Park today.
Bit hard to remember where you are sometimes, John, isn't it? Here's Reid bowling to Rutherford. Fine piece of fielding by Matthews. If that had been a direct hit, it could have been a close call. New Zealand to 49 without loss.
Ken Rutherford looking for the sneaky single here, but Greg Matthews was the man who came across, and he is very, very quick and made a lot of ground, picked it up well, left hand, and where was Rutherford? He would have been out.
The last ball now of Bruce Reid's first over, bowling to Edgar. No run from it, so Bruce Reid completes his first over. There were 4 and 2, 6, 8 runs off it, and New Zealand 49 without loss after 13. A very large crowd at Lancaster Park, still some spaces left. 28,000 tickets were sold for this match. It's a comfortable sized crowd. As Davis bowls to Rutherford. Nice shot, 4 runs. That's the 50 partnership. New Zealand go to 53 without loss off the first ball of the 14th over.
What a superbly timed shot by Ken Rutherford. There's no need to run for that one. Foolish, angling down the leg side, but certainly was prepared to go across and just clip it away, and it raced to the boundary.
So New Zealand have made an excellent start. A fine run rate. They have 10 wickets in hand in the 14th over. Davis again. Simon Davis, who bowled so economically at Carisbrook on Wednesday, his 10 overs cost him only 12 runs there. Today he's gone for 22 in just his 7th over. Still relatively economical bowling, but not quite the same outstanding figures that he had in Dunedin on Wednesday.
Yes, I think by the end of today we might see some rather sick bowling figures, but that should cater for a very good game of cricket. Interesting that Australia should put New Zealand in on what looks like an excellent batting track.
So New Zealand getting a very good start from Bruce Edgar and Ken Rutherford. In 50 over matches, if you can get to 50 inside those first 15 overs, it's considered that you've made a good start. Alan Border still looking for the first breakthrough for Australia. Border fielding at short mid-wicket. Edgar at the non-striker's end. Davis to Rutherford.
Alan Border certainly had we would have adverse publicity in the last couple of days, but he really has been a remarkably good ambassador for Australia. And to think of the indignities that he's had to put up with over the past 12 months, it can't have been easy. But I think finally in Dunedin he felt that he'd had enough to some degree, although I doubt whether he's serious about giving up cricket. But it's nice to see New Zealand dominating the scene.
Another good shot from Ken Rutherford as Davis dropped it short. Rutherford got the length of it so quickly, away for 4 runs. Rutherford is 40. 57 without loss in the 14th.
Again, Simon Davis dropping it short, and Ken Rutherford was equal to the task. Hit it away over the infield. Of course, we're still inside the 15 overs, so only 2 men outside the circle. And that was 4 from the moment it left the bat.
Just a short boundary out there. The lines have been brought in at Lancaster Park today. The side hit here is only 60 metres to the boundary. Ken Rutherford plays that last ball very comfortably. The end of 14 overs and New Zealand 57 without loss. Bruce Reid to continue bowling from the northern end of Lancaster Park. 14 overs completed. 57 without loss. Rutherford 40. Edgar 16. New Zealand's run rate is 4.07. Bruce Reid on his way to the left-handed Edgar. Now Bruce Edgar getting into the act as Reid drops it short, pulled from outside the off stump. Well done by Jeff Marsh. Stephen Waugh, in fact, good chase.
Bruce Reid still struggling with his line and length. Dropped it short to Bruce Edgar, and he was quickly in position, pulling it away on the onside. Picked up 3 runs for his troubles.
So in the 15th over, New Zealand are 60. Edgar 19, Rutherford 40. Two slips still for the left armour Reid.
Doing a good job out there.
Just a little bit more on Alan Border and talking about these comments that he's made about possibly resigning the Australian captaincy. It should be remembered that he uttered pretty much the same thing in Perth last year after New Zealand won that test match and won the series there. So he offered the similar comments then. Really is just a veiled threat, although not necessarily all that serious, just a way of geeing up his team. And I really think that that's what Alan Border's got in mind here again. It's his way of saying to his team, listen, you guys, you're not really pulling your weight. I want a better effort. I don't seriously think that Alan Border would give up the Australian captaincy.
Would be an interesting thing to see who would take over, actually, and we were speculating last night who it might be. Of course, only a couple of months ago, David Hooks was the vice-captain. He's now captaining a social side, which we're playing against tomorrow, Peter.
Heavens above. Here's Reid to Rutherford. I don't think that David Hooks would seriously be considered as an Australian captain, just at the moment anyway.
Now we'll see how he goes tomorrow, playing for the Crusaders 11 in Masterton.
We're in the 15th over here at Lancaster Park. The Australian camp not feeling particularly happy at the moment, I wouldn't think. Ray Bright there, the 12th man. David Boone on the right, first slip. Alan Border, the captain, at second slip. Nice piece of fielding off his own bowling there by Bruce Reid. It was a pretty solidly hit straight drive by Ken Rutherford.
Again, a bit foolish from Bruce Reid, looking to drive. Not quite timing it as well as he might have, but well picked up, low to the ground by Bruce Reid.
So the last ball of the 15th over about to be bowled. The fielding restrictions will be eased after this ball. And that is the end of 15 overs at Lancaster Park. Rutherford and Edgar still together for New Zealand. It's 60 without loss. Jeff Howarth has joined me in the commentary box, and Alan Border is ringing the changes in his bowling attack as well, with Dave Gilbert coming on to replace Simon Davis. Davis bowling 7 overs for 26 runs from the southern end, and now Dave Gilbert is in to replace him down at that end. Jeff Howarth, a fairly routine change in the attack?
Yes, pretty sorry, Peter. Pretty predictable change. Bringing Dave Gilbert in. Had a good spell done at Dunedin. Had a good start this by New Zealand. These two batsmen carrying on where they left off in Dunedin. A good opening partnership of 65 there. And now 60.
Very delicate little shot there by Bruce Edgar, just down to third man for 1. It's Craig McDermott with the tracer bullet throw back to Wayne Phillips.
Just running the ball off, a typical one-day shot there. And New Zealand's going to have to keep this run rate up. They're about 4 now, but they're going to have to continue this because we said 250 at the beginning of the day might be a good score, but they might need a few more than this.
Still the board ticks over, another single. So of course to get to 250 they've got to get to 5 runs per over, but they haven't lost any wickets yet, so that's valuable from the New Zealand point of view. In the 16th over now, Bruce Edgar upping his strike rate all the time. He was fairly slow to start, playing a typical Bruce Edgar one-day innings.
Yes, well, as we said, Peter, these batsmen have brought the run rate up to about 4 and over. They're going to have to maintain this and keep it going and eventually get up to 5 and 6 perhaps. So that they've got 250, 280, perhaps even on this ground with the short boundaries and a good, excellent wicket. We might even see 300 brought up. Well, that's a long way in the distance. With only 15 and a bit overs gone. Still a long way to go.
Notice how the boundaries have been brought in there. The line has been, in some instances, been brought in about 15 metres from the fence. So we've only got boundaries about 60 metres from the bat today as Gilbert bowls to Rutherford.
Peter, normally using the whole of the ground, but to accommodate the advertising hoardings or boards, they've brought the boundaries in a considerable way, therefore making it that much easier for the ball to travel to or over the boundary.
The end of Dave Gilbert's first over, 16 gone and 3 off that over. It's 63 without loss. So Ken Rutherford 41 and Bruce Edgar 21. New Zealand's run rate just below 4. Bruce Reid to start his third over. Reid with 11 runs off his first 2. Nicely steered just past the man at backward point. Just the 1 run. Bruce Edgar to 22.
Good feature of these two New Zealand batsmen, Peter, is the fact that they've taken a leaf out of the Australian batsmen's books and been running well between the wickets. Just a little bit of a hiccup earlier on in the day, but generally very sound performance running between the wickets.
Ken Rutherford 41 off 55 deliveries, and the man who had an outstanding season for Otago was an opening batsman. You'll remember, of course, he batted down the order during the test matches. Just wonder whether or not he might eventually find a niche in the New Zealand side as an opening batsman, Jeff. John Wright, now nearly 32 years of age. He perhaps is going to be around for another 4 or 5 years, and Rutherford may well become a senior opener in years to come.
Yes, Peter, he's been growing in confidence throughout the summer, and I think he does probably prefer, if he had the choice, he probably would prefer to bat up the order as an opening batsman. But I think in the test matches now, forget about the one days, but in the test matches I think he's still got to gain that bit more experience down the order about test match play to harden himself up. In the one day game it doesn't particularly matter that much more.
This is a much better over from Bruce Reid. He's found the length. He suffered a bit of a hammering in his first 2 overs. So we're coming towards the end of the 17th over, and the field out now. We've got 4 outside the circle, nobody in a catching position. So sort of 2 fielding rings, one in the circle, one outside of the circle. Reid to Rutherford. It's a good ball from Bruce Reid, which Ken Rutherford didn't know too much about. There is a single, and it's a leg by. So 65 without loss.
Yes, an improved over this by Reid, wrapping Rutherford on the pad. Runs away down to 3rd man, 1 run. But a bit shaky start by Bruce Reid this morning. He's usually reasonably economical, but just settling into his rhythm again today now.
Nicely clipped by Bruce Edgar. 1 run out to square leg, and 1 run only. So the end of Bruce Reid's 3rd over. 17 completed. New Zealand are 66 without loss after an hour and 10 minutes play. And it looks at Lancaster Park as if we are going to have a drinks break, or are we not? We just wait and see. Oh, the motorbike won't start. Well, they are eventually going to have a drinks break. Tim Zura and Adip Nathu, the New Zealand emergency fieldsmen, they're trying to get the machine into action. So they're going to have a break pretty soon. In the meantime, we'll also take a break, and we'll bring you up to date with the mechanical details of this machine in just a moment. Back at Lancaster Park, the drinks break coming to a close after New Zealand have made this excellent start. 17 overs, 66 runs on the board. And we can tell you that the drinks motorcycle was finally kicked into action. Got away to a bit of an horrendous start when they released the clutch a bit too quickly, and they just about lost all the drinks before they got them onto the park. Nevertheless, everything's back to sanity almost as Greg Matthews comes on to bowl. Dave Gilbert just had the 1 over down at that southern end. The over cost 3 runs. Jeff, an interesting move by the Australians here, because Greg Matthews wasn't seen at all at the bowling crease in Dunedin.
Yes, well, I think they felt in Dunedin that they had the seamers had a lot of assistance from the track and didn't require his services. I think that was fully justified, having kept New Zealand to 186 in the innings down in Dunedin there. But up here, it's a little bit of a different wicket. There's nothing in it for the seamers. You might get a little bit of bite out of the track, but it's a move to try and bring a bit of variation into the attack and just get away from the humdrum of medium pace bowling, just to try and upset or break the timing and pattern of these 2 New Zealand batsmen.
So Edgar will be the batsman facing. Edgar's on 23, facing Matthews. Not a very good ball to start with from Matthews. Reed at fine leg, 1 run. Edgar is 24. They're going to be running a lot of singles off the off spinner. There's going to be a few hold-ups for the field to change over. So at the moment we've only got 3 inside the circle. Bruce Reed's going to have to come up to backward point because the regulations state that 4 fieldsmen must be inside the circle now, with the allowable number of 5 on the leg side. So when the ball is bowled, there'll actually be 5 inside the circle, with mid-off coming in as well. Pleasant shot down to long on by Ken Rutherford. Another single, so 2 runs up 2 balls. And another changeover in the field.
And with this swapping and changing for a left and right hander, Peter, and a couple of men back out on the boundary, it's quite an easy task for New Zealand to keep the scoreboard ticking over at 5, 6 and over with singles.
Bruce Edgar not able to cash in on that one. So we're in the 18th over. New Zealand are 68 without loss after being sent into bat by Alan Border. Both teams unchanged from the 11s that played in Dunedin on Wednesday. Fairly hopeful, I would say, Gregory.
Yes, bowling from very wide of the crease there. He's got to spin the ball back a lot to hit the wickets, but Bruce Edgar there, playing back behind the pad. Got to try and get after Matthews a little bit here.
Once again, it's clipped away for a single. So 3 runs off the overs so far.
Yes, can't afford, the New Zealand batsmen can't afford to let Matthews dominate here. They've got to try and keep on top of them and upset his rhythm as he's trying to upset their rhythm. Which the better one comes out on top.
Good shot by Rutherford to a ball given plenty of air by Matthews, but just the 1 run out to mid-off. That's the end of Greg Matthews' first over. 4 runs from it, and it's 70 without loss. So the New Zealand run rate just slipping a little under 4. And now we have a bowling change with Bruce Reed coming off at the northern end. 3 overs for 13, Bruce Reed, and Dave Gilbert, who's had just the 1 over from the southern end, is replacing Reed. So Dave Gilbert had his first over, cost him just 3. He's going to bowl over the wicket from the city end at Lancaster Park. 5 inside the circle. Ball just up in that block hole length, Yorker length, but difficult to drive for Rutherford there. 70 without loss. New Zealand now, Jeff, I suspect, have really just got to move up a gear a little, don't they?
That's right, Peter. They've got to keep it ticking along. Yeah, 3.85 and over. It's not quite good enough. If they continue that rate for 50 overs, it won't be good enough, I don't think. So they've got to up their run scoring rate.
Well run. Boone couldn't perform.
It's a bit of a risky single, this by Rutherford. It had to be very quick because of Boone had picked up and cleanly and threw the stumps down. That would have been pretty close. So another bit of fielding which doesn't help the Australian cause at the present time.
Bruce Edgar just being a little bit lazy there, trying to play that favourite one-day shot of his, running it down to third man.
Just a bit of a quicker delivery here from Gilbert. And as you said, Peter, a little bit lazy. Perhaps he would be better off trying to hit the ball with the full face of the bat through the cover region if he can make it. And go for the big shot rather than just the dab, because they've got 70 on the board at the moment. A lot of free scoring batsmen to come in the New Zealand side.
That's the shot that Jeff was talking about. It's gone for 4 at long on. 2 wide for Matthews. Fine shot by Bruce Edgar. New Zealand to 75.
Yes, that's exactly what I was talking about, Peter. He's got men protecting that boundary back at a square, but forward a square in the mid-off and cover area. There's no one out there. If you can pierce that gap on the short boundary and quick outfield, you're going to get 4 runs.
Edgar's 29, facing Gilbert.
Border there, looking at the ground, but more problems this morning, having won the toss. 75 for none, New Zealand, and after all the comments the last couple of days, this won't have helped his frame of mind.
Last ball of the over from Dave Gilbert, 5 runs from it, and New Zealand's 75 without loss after 19. And at Lancaster Park, Greg Matthews about to bowl, and Grant Nisbet to continue the commentary with Jeff Howard.
Thanks, Peter. Marvellous start by New Zealand. Greg Matthews about now to bowl to Ken Rutherford on 44. Matthews making 1 or 2 alterations to his field, which now is fairly widespread.
Greg Matthews just drifting down a bit here, leg side. Kenny Rutherford trying to help it on its way. In fact, a little bit of turn there. Phillips unable to grasp the ball cleanly.
Nicely timed stroke, just the 1 run though. Greg Ritchie out in that sweeper position. Ken Rutherford to 45, 76 without loss. New Zealand's current run rate is nearly 4, it's 3.93. So I suppose that's quite satisfactory coming up into the 20th over. In fact, this is the 20th over. And one would imagine there'll be an acceleration, presuming wickets are still in hand, from here through to the finish.
Yes, they'd want that, Grant. You can't leave it too late for their charge. As we said, there's no wickets down there. A lot of attacking hard, hitting batsmen in the New Zealand side, and be itching to get out on that wicket, I'm sure, because it's such a belter.
Nice stroke again by Bruce Edgar. Probably look for 2 here. In fact, he'll go for 2. Greg Ritchie. A belter meaning a good batting wicket, Jeff.
A very good batting wicket, so credit to Russell Wiley. The groundsman here. We should be getting 2 for that shot through the onside.
Bruce Edgar lifting. Nice stroke. 4 runs. Not very often you see Bruce Edgar lifting the ball, but there's a lot of confidence in the New Zealand batting.
Yes, this is what we've got to see a little bit more of. Way to go, Brucey, over the top. And you can do it if you try. And we'll have to see a little bit more of that too throughout this innings.
No run off the last ball of the over, so 20 overs now completed, 82 without loss. Spectators enjoying proceedings so far here at Lancaster Park this morning. New Zealand averaging out at 4.10 runs per over. We're into the 21st now. Dave Gilbert to Ken Rutherford. Lifted, and it's over the top, and 6 runs. Ken Rutherford's 50.
Great shot this by Kenny Rutherford to go to his 50. Dropped in short by Gilbert and hoisted up into the stands. Kenny Rutherford's 65th ball of this innings, so that's a very good striking rate. The first 20-odd overs of this innings. And it also helps to bolster the New Zealand run rate. And you should think with this wicket, as I said before, this wicket and these short boundaries, the crowd might get quite a bit of value for their money in terms of stroke play, boundaries and perhaps sixes. And the Australians can match the New Zealand score. They're going to have a feast of cricket today.
Another single for Rutherford. Rutherford now 52. And New Zealand proceeding very well in the 21st over. Bruce Edgar now 35 not out, facing Dave Gilbert. No ball. Lovely drive by Edgar. 4 more.
Dave Gilbert straying here. Over pitching, getting a no ball. Beautiful shot by Bruce Edgar past the middle off position. But if we go back to Dunedin, his first 3 overs down there cost him around about the 20 mark again.
Very expensive over this one from Dave Gilbert. Another run to Bruce Edgar. 12 off 4 deliveries.
He's not just getting it together, not quite getting it together anyway. But as I said, his first 3 overs down in Eden were pretty expensive. But it'll be a bit harder on this track to peg back.
Wasn't one of Ken Rutherford's better strokes. Fielded by Alan Border, backward a point.
It's just a bit the edge, but I think he, just look at it, he just went to open his blade a bit to guide that ball down there, but not a convincing shot.
94 without loss after having been sent in by Alan Border. And that's the end of the 21st over, 94 without loss. Runs per over now, nearly 4.5. So these two have really picked it up. Greg Matthews is going to start another over. And Warren Stott has just joined me.
Good morning, Grant. Good morning, everybody.
Excellent batting this morning, Warren.
Well, what a marvellous start for New Zealand. 94 without loss. Rutherford, 52. Edgar's on 40.
Easy single. Bruce Edgar playing very well, just pushing for the gaps.
Well, absolutely top draw stuff from the New Zealand openers. Jeremy Coney have been very pleased with this. Edgar getting a single. And prospects for a very, very fine one-day match.
Lifted by Rutherford, just chipped over the infield, in fact. Really didn't get a hold of it and gets one run.
Oh, probably a good job he didn't get hold of it. There's a man out there, lobs it into the gap. Had he got hold of it, Marsh there was in the danger area.
Had a long time to wait for Bruce Edgar, but he gets it away. And there's the New Zealand 100.
Edgar waiting for that ball, hammering it just backward of square. Lovely shot for 4, and the New Zealand 100. Australians will be worried.
Just one this time for Bruce Edgar. Down to Simon Davis.
There's the boundary from Bruce Edgar. Really, he shouldn't have got any runs. Another misfield from the Australians. But he hit it so well.
Finding the gap again, Ken Rutherford. Batsmen think about a second. Won't go, though. Good slick play out on the boundary, and just the one run. Jeff Marsh there. And that's the end of the over. Over number 22 completed. New Zealand 102 without loss. Last 2 overs by the New Zealand openers, Rutherford and Edgar. 102 without loss after 22.
And a worried man, Alan Border. Just, no matter what he does, just can't stop this run rate that the New Zealanders have established. It's 4.63. 22 overs. Now look at that, still 10 wickets in hand.
Dave Gilbert now to Ken Rutherford. No run this time, out to Steve Waugh.
Steve Waugh hasn't been in the attack yet. He'll be a little nervous if he's called into the bowling crease. None of the Australian bowlers have been able to stem the flow of runs. And as this momentum continues from the New Zealanders, the Australian bowlers will be under even more pressure.
Better start to this over by Dave Gilbert, who at the start of the over had conceded 20 runs off just 3 overs.
Gilbert hasn't really been very effective. You see the figures there. 3 overs and 2 balls, 20 runs. He's going for 6 and over at the moment. And that's quite high at this stage of the game.
Another good tight delivery. Gilbert seems to have settled down a little. Noticed Alan Border had quite a long chat with him before the over started.
There's an inside edge, fairly thick inside edge there, but Gilbert's got a better line and length. And I think perhaps Border may have said to him, don't try too much. Just settle down and keep that line, that length, and just battle away rather than trying to bowl a magic ball every ball.
Once again, nice stroke by Ken Rutherford, but again it's Greg Matthews. And while the Australian field are struggling generally, this man, as always, ever alert.
Rutherford looking for that gap between mid-wicket and mid-on. Looking for 2, and just look at that magnificent fielding. Matthews right on the ball, comes up with it in his hand, all ready to run out the New Zealanders if they go for 2. Tremendous work done this morning in the field from Matthews.
Again, straight to Greg Matthews.
Absolutely fantastic fielding from Matthews, encouraging the rest of his teammates. And they need encouragement at the moment. Always in the game.
Well run again by Bruce Edgar. Could see that it was between the bowler and the advancing Matthews. So Edgar takes a run off the last ball of the 23rd over, and it's 104 without loss. Now with Greg Matthews. Already he has conceded 19 off 3, bowling to Bruce Edgar. Once again, an excellent save.
Matthews angling in towards that leg stump of the left-handers. Hit back fairly firmly, and Matthews, good diving stop to his left.
Nice strike by Edgar. Only one run though, Jeff Marsh. One to Edgar, he's 48 now. 105 without loss.
New Zealand batsmen will be looking to score at least a single a ball, and be hoping for the Australian bowlers to bowl the odd loose one, which will get them up to 6 or 8 and over.
Oh, a lovely sprawling save by David Boone this time. Australian fielding has moved up a gear.
Rutherford using his feet to the spinner. A little uppish. Certainly didn't carry. Good stop.
Very delicate. Quick try at the stumps by Gilbert. Edgar might have been struggling, although he did respond very quickly.
A bit of turn there from Matthews, and a risky single. If Gilbert had a hit, could have been a few problems for the New Zealanders.
106 without loss. Matthews to Edgar. Excellent running again by these two New Zealand opening batsmen. Leg by this time. And that's the end of the 24th over, 107 without loss. Batting effort. This is the 25th over. And it's Dave Gilbert to Bruce Edgar.
And the field scattered to all points of the compass as the New Zealanders are right on top.
Full toss by Gilbert. Just the one run though for Edgar, down to David Boone. Edgar 49, 108 without loss.
Ken Rutherford's on 56. And what a difference he's made to this opening partnership. Being right-handed has not allowed the Australians to get on line.
Just chipped it away on the onside, another single. Rutherford then to 57, 109 without loss. New Zealand's run rate at the moment, 4.47 per over.
Bruce Edgar, what a magnificent job he's done. 49 off 69 balls. 5 fours in that. And the way these New Zealanders are looking for the singles, it could be this ball for the 50.
Oh, lobbed away, but it's 50 for Bruce Edgar. Not a particularly convincing stroke, but it's been a very good innings. 50 not out to Bruce Edgar.
Top innings from Edgar. Didn't really get over the top of this ball though to score his 50. Climbing on him, top edge. But quite safe as it runs down to third man for a single.
Might have been getting close to a wide. Very fine line, of course, between a wide and a useful delivery down the leg side in one-day cricket anyway.
Well, that was very marginal. Gilbert, I don't think he'll be very happy with his work this morning. He's averaging a little over 5 per over. The last couple of overs have been a bit tighter.
Stephen Waugh fielding in the covers.
Stephen Waugh hasn't been used as yet. I think Border perhaps is looking to see how effective Matthews will be. If Matthews is not effective, then he'll share that last or the fifth bowler's spot with Waugh.
Lovely stroke from Ken Rutherford. Boone has the chase, but he can give it away. Four more to Ken Rutherford. He's 61, the end of the 25th over. New Zealand 114 without loss.
Decent shot from Rutherford. A ball on the line of the off stump, hammered away through the leg side into the gap, and the fielders just gave it away.
Greg Matthews now to Bruce Edgar. No run taken this time. Australians coming from everywhere.
Well, the game's all action when Matthews is involved. Angling into that leg stump area, hits Edgar on the knee roll, and look at Matthews, look at the ground he made. Phillips as well, top stuff.
Good use of his feet by Bruce Edgar. Ken Rutherford has to run hard, and that comes the stump. Bit of byplay there from Wayne Phillips. Ken Rutherford thought about a second, but Wayne Phillips wasn't going to let him pass.
A regulation single into the mid-wicket area. And what a top throw from Boone, and Phillips trying to dodge the stump and then trying to impede Ken Rutherford.
$115 without loss. 26th over.
Oh my.
Greg Matthews in his 5th over. Ken Rutherford on 61. Good stop again by Matthews.
Rutherford using his feet, and that's been a very impressive thing about these two New Zealand batsmen to the spinner, using their feet to him. And Matthews
Finding the gap through mid-wicket this time, out to Marsh. One further run. Rutherford to 62, and the total to 116 without loss.
One wonders what's going through Alan Border's mind as these New Zealand batsmen continue to dominate this session.
It's in the air, heading down towards fine leg. Dave Gilbert coming round. And two further runs for Bruce Edgar. Got a bit of a top edge, but safely down to fine leg.
some discussion, I think, as to whether it's over or not. I think Matthews thought he'd bowled his 6. In fact, according to us, he has, but Roger McHarg says no, you've only bowled 5, but Greg Matthews making a signal, yes, he's going to bowl the extra ball. He's certainly bowled 6.
He's right.
Well, New Zealand's going to get 4 runs. Now, that could be a bonus 4 runs. We certainly think he bowled 7 balls in the over, and New Zealand get an extra 4 runs. Greg Matthews have been counting. That's the end of the over now, though. It's 123 without loss.
It's the bonus for New Zealand and Bruce Edgar. Matthews had already bowled 6 balls, and Edgar punishing that down to the leg side boundary. Gets 4 more. So the run rate, 4.69. Pretty healthy situation for New Zealand as we see Waugh brought into the attack to replace Gilbert. Right arm medium pace. Perhaps just a little bit better than medium pace. He a bit deceptive, comes off the pitch a little bit quicker than what one would imagine. Well, a loosener from Waugh, and Rutherford can't catch up with it. Just didn't bounce enough for him to crack it away through point.
Easy run there for Ken Rutherford. 123 without loss then. Rutherford goes to 63. The interesting thing about that apparent 7-ball over was that Roger McHarg asked Fred Goodall, and Fred said 1 to come. So the umpires were unanimous. Greg Matthews thought he had it right, and Bill Frindle knows he had it right.
And Matthews was convinced also. He obviously counts the deliveries, and quite an important tactic on the bowler's part.
And it's recorded on the computer. That can't be wrong.
Well, 4 runs, it really was a bonus for New Zealand. However, worn out to Edgar. Another run for Bruce Edgar. 124 without loss. Edgar's now 58. And Ken Rutherford, the right-hander, down to take strike on 63.
In a John Player League match in England a few years ago, Bob Warmer actually bowled half an illegitimate 9th over before anybody spotted it.
Oh, big heave by Rutherford. Looked like he'd made up his mind before Waugh let it go.
Well, this is a slog. Doesn't catch up with it, but if he had, it might still be going. The man batting with a lot of confidence, and if Waugh doesn't get his line and length right, he's going to get punished. Little hold up while the field's just changed around a bit. Gilbert being moved deeper.
Plenty of gaps in the field. Batsman thought about 2, decided against it. Terrible throw from Ritchie, who's not the fastest man in the Australian field, for reasons that may or may not be obvious.
A lovely shot for a single, and because it's just a bit wider of the fielder, the batsmen are always looking for 2, and if he has a small fumble, they'll get through for it.
Over, says Fred Goodall. 27 gone. It's 125 without loss. Now Greg Matthews is out after 5 overs, and he conceded 29 runs, and Bruce Reid has come back into the attack, so it looks like Matthews and Waugh might have to make up 10, although Dave Gilbert has gone for 29 already off 5.
Alan Border's got a wee bit of a problem here, because it's not just one bowler being dominated, almost all of them are, and he's just got to get the score in proportions, otherwise if it's too high he's going to lose this match, and if he doesn't win this match, of course, he's not going to have any chance of winning this one-day series. Bruce Reid, he's bowled 3 overs, 13 runs. He's going for over 4, and he's one of the more economical of the Australians so far.
And an easy catch, chipped out by Ken Rutherford, accepted by Stephen Waugh, and the bowling change has worked, and Ken Rutherford is out for 64.
Top knock from Rutherford. This one climbed on him perhaps just a little bit too much, and hits it straight down the throat of Stephen Waugh at mid-wicket. Top effort, 64 runs, 89 balls, got New Zealand off to a flyer. Rutherford not getting it over the infield and straight down Stephen Waugh's throat. Regulation catch, and that's brought Martin Crowe to the crease.
And this is really set up for Martin Crowe, isn't it, Warren, with 125 runs on the board, and a player of his quality should enjoy this.
Well, on a pitch like this, if Crowe gets a sighter, he'll be absolutely devastating. Obviously, we expect a tremendous amount from Martin Crowe every time he comes to the crease. Alan Border will be a bit nervous if he gets away on him. Just watch the scoring rate increase.
Martin Crowe's first ball now from Bruce Reid. Quick single call for straight away, shy at the stumps, but Crowe's quick and he's going to get 5. So 5 runs to Martin Crowe.
Oh, pretty shoddy stuff here. Martin Crowe going for a quick single. Puts the fielder under pressure. There's a miss there, and no one is backing up properly. And that's 5 runs to Martin Crowe. And he's faced just the 1 ball.
Not many players can say that they've faced 1 ball and scored 5 runs. So those 5 runs have taken the New Zealand total now to 130 for 1 in the 28th over.
Jeremy Coney couldn't have asked for a better start if he'd have been able to. Absolutely tremendous stuff from the New Zealand batsman.
Wide from Reid, but Bruce Edgar hits it directly out to the man who took the catch to dismiss Ken Rutherford. That's Stephen Waugh. Bruce Edgar on 58. Facing Bruce Reid. Reid was down very quickly. So a good bowling change by Alan Border.
Well, he needed that breakthrough. Things weren't going too well for him. He'd be a very, very worried man at the moment. New Zealand 130 and have only just lost their first wicket.
Just a reminder that after this delivery, the last ball of this over, we'll have a short news bulletin for you. That's the end of the over. So overs 28 now have been bowled, and the total is 130 for 1.
Had 5 balls bowled in this over by Stephen Waugh. It's the 29th of the innings. The New Zealand score has got along to 136. Stephen Waugh bowling to Crowe. So the end of the over from Stephen Waugh. There was a run or an extra off every ball in the over. 1 leg bye was taken. So a total of, in fact, 7 runs came from that over of Stephen Waugh. It's 137 for 1. 29 overs have been completed here at Lancaster Park. So an outstandingly good start for New Zealand with Martin Crowe and Bruce Edgar together. Martin Crowe, in fact, has got 7 runs, not 74. 137 for 1. The only batsman out is Ken Rutherford, caught by Stephen Waugh. So it's Crowe 7 and Edgar 62. And Bruce Reid to continue. Billy Abdallah has joined me in the commentary box.
It's quite an interesting stage at the moment because the New Zealanders, who have had such a good start, Rutherford playing a very fine hand, but New Zealanders will have to maintain a run rate of about 6 and over.
And they're doing it well just by keeping that board ticking over. As we mentioned, that last over from Stephen Waugh, a run off every ball, yet no boundary, and 7 runs off the over.
That's right, and that's what they have got to do in order to get around about 250 or 260 in their 50 overs. They have got to maintain that run rate, and because it's rather a high run rate, I must admit, chances are that the Australians may be able to get one or two people out.
So Bruce Reid is bowling, Bruce Edgar facing. Safely hit, and 4 runs. McDermott had no chance down at third man. As we often say in one-day cricket, probably a regulation catch to second slip, but very safe from Bruce Edgar. Down to third man, very fine for 4, 142 for 1, and Edgar is 66.
Reid offline, off target. Edgar taking full advantage of that delivery, slices it through this empty slip area for 4. Once again we see that attempted square cut going in the air for 4.
It's a nice drive. Just for 1. Martin Crowe allows the ball to pass safely down through his legs at the non-striker's end. So New Zealand keeping that board ticking over, 143 for 1. Bruce Edgar is now 67. Billy, Richie Benaud often says during his commentaries in Australia that no matter what the situation in a one-day game, a slip should always be in there.
Indeed. Of course, Richie Benaud himself was a very fine attacking captain, and I can quite understand the way he thinks. Obviously, if you've got a slip, anything going in that area, you've got a chance.
So that's the first ball for 10 deliveries, which hasn't been scored from. A dot at long last goes in the scorebook. 143 for 1.
And Martin Crowe, who has just come out to bat, he would be under a little bit of pressure. He knows that the run rate has got to be maintained, but he would also like to have at least 4 or 5 overs out there before he starts thinking of playing his strokes.
Just push to backward point. It could be a close call. Boone can't hit the stumps. Edgar's home. Martin Crowe to 9.
And the Australians coming under pressure here again. A very quick single there. Boone, the fieldsman. Underarm flick. Reasonably good, but not straight. Otherwise it would have been out. It's the man from Tasmania, Tasmanian captain, and he would be looking forward to bat on this pitch, which hasn't shown a great deal of life so far, and I don't think it's going to get any quicker either.
Reid to Edgar. To border at mid-wicket. The end of 30 overs at Lancaster Park, and New Zealand in a very healthy situation, 144 for 1. Next in, Waugh, continuing the battle for Australia. Coney batted number 4 in Dunedin on Wednesday, didn't he? From memory, John Wright slipped down to number 5. So Jeremy there with his pads on, probably next in for New Zealand. No ball called. The drop kick by Martin Crowe out to backward square. Just 1 run anyway. 145 for one. Martin Crowe quickly to double figures. He's 10. He was helped, of course, by getting a single and then 4 overthrows to his first scoring shot, so that got him away to a flying start with a 5. War to Edgar.
Edgar, who has been timing the ball so well in this innings, 87 balls, 67 runs, really has timed the ball beautifully. Not a great deal of power in his play, but beautiful timer of the ball.
So it really has been the classical opener's innings in a one-day match. Bruce Edgar made a very slow start. You might remember the captions we put up early on in his innings. The last figure was the strike rate, in other words the percentage of balls that he's scoring from, or the runs he's scoring per 100 balls. One stage it was down to 23, now it's up to 77, so he's increased the tempo so well. Stephen Waugh in his 3rd over, currently with no wicket for 10. 145 for one in the 31st over. It's a fine straight drive by Edgar, but just 1 run down to long off. Dave Gilbert, the fieldsman, down there.
And Bruce Edgar now started to look for some attacking strokes. That is to say, he would be looking now to hit the ball a little harder.
So easy for Martin Crowe, so nicely placed for an easy single. And at the end of 31 overs, New Zealand 147 for one. Data General Computer has ticked over now to 147 for one. That is the correct score as Bruce Reid bowls to Martin Crowe.
And Martin Crowe playing the right game at the moment, just picking his 1s and 2s. And here we see him again using the straight bat, just keeping it there. It's the right game for him for a while. He has got to get in on this very good batting pitch. And he hasn't lost an opportunity to take his singles, 11 runs of 11 balls.
Once again, Crowe just keeping that board ticking over. Martin Crowe now to 12. This is the 32nd over. So New Zealand scoring 4.72 runs per over at the moment. They have the foundation now for a very big score. But the Australians also will have the opportunity to bat on this very good wicket later on this afternoon. It'll be a day full of runs.
Australians certainly would be quite happy to chase a total of about 260, 270. That's the Australian captain, Alan Border. He would be from now on trying to work how he can keep this New Zealand total to about 270 or so. So fair bit of thinking has got to go into his captaincy, his field placing, bowling changes and so forth. Not an easy time for him. Pitch looking very dry, whitish of colour, and certainly hasn't got any pace in it. Certainly a very flat pitch, and the batsmen so far have really enjoyed it, enjoyed batting on it, and I think that's how it's going to behave throughout the game today.
Dave Gilbert, the fieldsman, at fine leg. One more run to Bruce Edgar. Coming towards the end of the 32nd over. The highest score that New Zealand has ever made against Australia in a one-day international is 276 for 7. That was made at Adelaide.
earlier this year. Australia responded well that day. They scored 70 after New Zealand had made that very big score. That one popped a bit. Well played in the end by Martin Crowe. No run taken. And that's the end of over number 32 with New Zealand 149 for 1.
We look if it really did jump or whether Martin Crowe played it rather low. I think Martin Crowe played it rather low, didn't allow for that bounce, and with the result got hit on the handle.
Stephen Waugh to continue for Australia, bowling to Edgar. Bruce Reid at fine leg. And that's the New Zealand 150 up. The very regulation shot there from Bruce Edgar. He goes to 70. So a very good scoring rate being maintained by New Zealand, and just 1 wicket down. So a chance for them to really move into top gear soon. Waugh to Crowe. It's in the air. This could be out. It is out. Well taken by Greg Ritchie on the backward square leg boundary. So Martin Crowe is out. New Zealand are 2 wickets down. Martin Crowe out for 12. Looking for the drop kick shot over the fence for 6 and didn't quite connect.
Looking to increase the run rate, Martin Crowe. Too early in his innings. Hits it in the air, and Ritchie is there. Takes a straightforward catch in front of him.
So Martin Crowe out for 12. New Zealand 150 for 2 in the 33rd. 4 bowls to Edgar. Bruce Edgar continuing to do this fine job at the top of the order. 151 for 2. Jeremy Coney about to take strike. Jeremy Coney out there as a consequence of this dismissal.
And Crowe picking that ball in front of his left pad in the air. Didn't hit it hard enough to clear the field. And there was the fieldsman. He found him. Greg Ritchie takes a catch. And a wicket has gone, the second wicket for New Zealanders, looking to increase that run rate. Now it has become absolutely vital. Steve Waugh doing the damage for his team. 1 for 14. Medium pace bowler, all-round cricketer. Could well bat pretty well on this pitch. Now it's absolutely essential that Edgar, who has been batting there from the start, has got to stay there. If he gets out, then the New Zealanders are going to have 2 newcomers at the crease.
Fine shot by Coney, but an even better piece of fielding in the covers, or short cover by Greg Matthews. It was a delightful shot from Coney.
Lovely drive there. Not a lot of power, but beautiful timing.
So the end of the 33rd over at Lancaster Park, and New Zealand batting first against Australia are 151 for 2. Edgar will be the batsman facing. Edgar's got 71. This is over number 34. Bruce Reid starting his 7th over, currently with 1 for 27. Jeremy Coney sprinting through for the leg bye. 152 for 2. Extras go to 5.
Jeremy Coney, the New Zealand captain, who has had such a fine test series, just ended in favour of New Zealanders. He averaged 146 with the bat. Bang in form. But even he has got to take some time to get in. And perhaps this is a time where the Australian captain, Alan Border, would be able to come back with a little bit of control here, just to check the run rate. That's what he would be thinking now, that it has given him just a little bit of breathing space.
Finally touched by Coney. McDermott can't get there. It's 4 runs. 156 for 2. And Coney off the mark with that glance for 4.
Bruce Reid goes a bit too far on the leg side. Coney plays it very nicely, glances the ball finally, beats the deep fine leg fieldsman and takes 4.
So 156 for 2, Coney 4. Bruce Reid in his 7th over. 1-4-31 his figures at the moment. It's a good ball. It's the classical left arm over the wicket delivery. Bit of bounce, cutting it across the right-hander.
Lovely delivery, pitching and leaving the bat. And beating the bat. No touch there, just as well for Coney.
Bruce Reid has 1 wicket. Stephen Ward took the catch off his bowling to break the New Zealand opening partnership of 125. Coney getting that one on the bottom of the bat. 1 ball to go in the 34th over. So Rutherford out for 64. And that wicket fell at 125 for 1 off the first ball of the 28th over. Martin Crowe, the other batsman, out. He made 12. That wicket fell at 150. Now it's 156 for 2 in the 34th over. And that, in fact, is the end of the 34th over. And this time the motorbike is up and running. Drinks are on their way. 34 overs completed at Lancaster Park. And New Zealand with a run rate of just over 4.5 and over, a 156 for 2. From finished, even though that board looks very healthy, if they score at 6 runs and over from here until the end of their 50 overs, they'll get 252. And Billy, I think you don't believe that's enough.
I don't think so, not the way the pitch has been playing. I think from now on they would need well over 5 and over. I think really looking at the pitch the way it has played so far, the side batting second would be quite happy to chase 260 or so.
So first ball after drinks, and Bruce Edgar away again. So Edgar with that 1 run goes to 72. New Zealand 157 for 2. A look at the Australian bowling figures. All of them have taken a bit of a hammering. Bruce Reid going for 4.42 and over. Dave Gilbert nearly 6 and over. Greg Matthews nearly 6 and over. So Steve Waugh is the most economical bowler so far. 3.5. He's at the moment bowling his 5th over. McDermott and Davis each have overs left. Ward, Coney. Very firmly hit shot by Jeremy Coney. Up on his toes, driving on the up.
And that attempted drive gives us some idea of the quality of the pitch. Coney hits the ball on the up, middles it. No movement of the seam. Again we see Coney looking to hit the ball, looking to get on with the game. Certainly it looks that a score of 250 is not going to be all that easy to defend.
It was noticeable during the drinks break that Alan Border didn't bother to partake of refreshment while the rest of the players and umpires were having a sip. Border sat by himself in the outfield, some 50 or 60 yards away from his teammates. We wondered perhaps if that was an indication as to his current feelings regarding the Australian effort today. But a good shot by Coney. It's only worth 1 run though. Marsh sweeping on the boundary at cover. 158 for 2 in the 35th over. Of course, the fact that Border didn't have a drink might have just meant that he wasn't thirsty.
On the other hand, he could well have been thinking about his own batting on this pitch. Remember in the test match here, he got 2 separate hundreds in the game. And he could well be the danger man for New Zealand.
It's the end of the 35th over. Stephen Waugh has 1 for 16, and it's 158 for 2 after 35. Lancaster Park today, far from a full house. There are plenty of spaces available, both on the terraces and in the stands. But around 28,000 people were predicted to be here today. Oh, in the air for a time on the leg side. In the end, it fell well short of Stephen Waugh.
Jeremy Coney obviously keen to get away here, but just having a bit of trouble finding the gaps, hitting the ball straight to the man. Very defensive field, obviously, at this stage.
Coney just getting himself set. New Zealand don't really want to lose another wicket. They've lost a couple relatively quickly in the space of 5 overs. And they need another big partnership. Coney's looking to get on with the job, but just having trouble piercing that field, John.
Always difficult for a batsman who comes in and the asking rate's 5 or 6, and that's what New Zealand would be wanting at the moment, because really they do need 250 plus on this wicket. It is very, very good, and I'm sure the Australians are looking forward to having a bat, but New Zealand need a big score to put them under pressure. But losing Martin Crowe was a blow for New Zealand, and Jeremy Coney just trying to get set, as it were.
Delightfully played by Coney. Greg Ritchie's got a problem here. He can't solve it. 4 runs. 162 for 2. Coney's second boundary takes him to 9.
Beautifully timed shot by Jeremy Coney. Angling across him, and he just came forward, played it away, square of the wicket on the offside. Ritchie deep out there, still couldn't save it. Fairly short boundary on that Western Bank side.
Coney again with runs behind square on the offside. Just the one this time. Dave Gilbert down at the third man. Coney moves to 10.
One wonders whether Jeremy Coney would consider changing the batting order. Only 2 down, New Zealand. We're into the 36th over. John Wright scheduled to bat next, and Bruce Blair. But of course, after Hadley's efforts in Carisbrook, and well-known fact, he's able to hit 4s and 6s.
Well taken by Phillips. That one drifted across. Bruce Edgar, the left-hander.
Because really New Zealand have so many wickets up their sleeves, it's worthwhile seeing if someone can hit, get a few big overs, maybe 14, 15 off 2 or 3 overs would really put them in the 260, 270, 280 mark.
So a nice take by Phillips. That one going a long way down the leg side. 163 for 2, the last ball here of the 36th over. Dave Gilbert, the fieldsman. An easy single. The end of 36 overs. New Zealand 164 for 2. No appeal there. The ball obviously pitching well outside the leg stump.
Not an easy task for the bowlers here today, and I'm sure some of the New Zealand bowlers mightn't be looking forward to it. 4th and 5th bowlers in the New Zealand camp were the worry, but that didn't happen. There was no worries at Dunedin.
There's an easy run here for Bruce Edgar. Dave Gilbert, who's been doing a lot of fielding in the last couple of overs, performs the task again. Bruce Edgar goes to 74. Yes, I wonder, John, whether or not the nature of this wicket, it being so flat, and New Zealand wanting to have as many bowling options as possible, finally swayed the selectors to keep Bruce Blair in the team and leave out Jeff Crowe once again. Thought on that in a moment, perhaps, as Waugh bowls to Coney.
So I think that's a fair comment, although I think Jeremy Coney might be rather loath to bowl Bruce Blair much. He hasn't bowled much lately because he hasn't had a lot of cricket. It's one of the problems of playing international cricket so late in the season. Someone who's not in the side or not in the test sides is not playing any other first-class cricket anywhere else in the country.
This This time Coney can beat Matthews at short cover. Jeff Marsh doing the fielding. 167 for 2, and Coney goes to 12.
But it may be a bit much to expect Martin Crowe to have a good 10 overs again, although he certainly did that in Dunedin. Ball moved around a little more down there. But the priority at the moment for New Zealand is to get round the 270, 280 mark.
Fairly lusty hitting there from Jeremy Coney. 167 for 2, so they're going to have to score around about 100 runs off their last 13 overs if they want to get to that mark.
Certainly demanding. Jeremy Coney looking like he wants to go over the top there. Bit of a slog, got a thick inside edge.
No ball called. New Zealand moved to 168. There's another ball left in the over.
Having a look at this delivery. Watch the foot there. Fred Goodall judging that over. Jeremy Coney picking up the call, went for the big hit but didn't connect.
Clever bowling by Waugh. He saw Coney advancing, so he bowled it into his legs. Coney couldn't score. So New Zealand with 13 overs left, 168 for 2. Left with 12, Bruce Edgar about to face, and Edgar has 74. Bruce Reid is the bowler. Well run for the leg by. 169 for 2. A top day of sporting action on Sport on 1 today. A reminder that during the lunch break, 2 other attractions for you. When the lunch break starts at about 1:35, we'll have live coverage of the heavyweight fight in the Commonwealth Games boxing trials at Avalon with Michael Kenny against Jimmy Piao over 3 rounds. And then that will be followed by bowls from Matamata in the New Zealand-Australia Test match. Lusty swipe there from Coney. He's certainly looking to go for it at every opportunity now.
Bit of a head in the air job from Jeremy Coney here. Not getting anywhere near it, but as Peter Williams mentioned, Jeremy Coney certainly looking to get after the ball.
.169 for 2 is the New Zealand score in the 38th over. I would also like to remind you that at 20 past 4 this afternoon, live coverage of the world's richest race for 2-year-olds, the Golden Slipper, from Rose Hill in Sydney, with Scotch and Dry as New Zealand's big hope in that race. So that's 4:20 this afternoon. Plenty of Australia-New Zealand sporting action on your screens today. No live cover, incidentally, of the Tancred Stakes. It falls outside of the normal Sport on 1 scheduled time, so no live cover of that race today, which Bone Crusher will be one of the favourites, no doubt. It's an easy single to Coney, down to McDermott. Coney is 13.
The impetus not quite being carried on here by New Zealand. Magnificent start by Ken Rutherford and Bruce Edgar. Martin Crowe coming in, and Martin Crowe's very, very effective in one-day cricket. Has the ability to push the ball around, pick up singles all the time, and of course some wonderful shots. But he's got out. Jeremy Coney and Bruce Edgar just struggling to keep it really kicking on, as it were.
Pop them. Bruce Edgar is out. New Zealand have lost their 3rd wicket. 170 for 3. That's 2 wickets for Bruce Reid. And Edgar's fine hand comes to an end. Bowled by Reid for 74, 105 balls he faced.
Bruce Edgar looking to hit this away on the leg side. Got a little bit out of line. Hit across it. And it sneaked through, hit the middle and off. So Bruce Edgar out. Good innings.
Edgar out for 74 in the 38th over. New Zealand 170 for 3. Is John Wright. 1 ball left in the 38th over. New Zealand 170 for 3. And now to continue the commentary, here's Grant Nisbet.
Thanks, Peter. Bruce Reid to bowl that last ball of the 38th over. And Australia fighting their way back into this match as Reid now bowls to John Wright. Good confident start by John Wright. No run for him though, and that is indeed the end of the 38th over. 170 for 3.
Bruce Reid, left arm over, bowling a little better now than he did earlier on. And on that occasion, Bruce Edgar getting a little frustrated. Run rate dropping away, looking to work it on the onside. And it was a good length delivery, and it got through between bat and pad. So New Zealand just losing the way a shade here. It's been a magnificent start, but one has to remember the wicket is very good. The boundaries are reasonably short, and New Zealand will require a good score. And Australia, in that last over, it was noticeable. We're able to bring 2 or 3 fieldsmen into positions saving the one, which makes it more difficult for the batsman to keep pushing the ball around. But certainly Bruce Reid's bowling has improved. First 2 or 3 overs, he was well astray in line and length. But Alan Border just marshalling the troops here. Stephen Waugh to continue.
Oh, lovely stroke by Jeremy Coney. Jeff Marsh is the boundary rider. And 2 runs for Jeremy Coney.
Very impressive shot by Jeremy Coney, standing up high and stroking it into the covers. There's a man out deep. A lot of running for him though.
Coney dabbing into the gap this time on the offside. Will settle for 1. Again, it's Marsh, and New Zealand are 173 for 3. Coney's gone to 16. And now it's John Wright to take his guard and face Steve Waugh.
We did speculate that possibly Richard Headley may come in and see if he can hit a few boundaries. But of course, John Wright is certainly able to get on with the job. Down batting number 5 here today, away from his usual opening spot, which, by the way, Ken Rutherford played. He may have lost for a while in one-day cricket.
Nicely timed stroke by John Wright, who had the misfortune in Dunedin the other day to be run out in rather freak circumstances. And the ball went from the hand of the bowler onto the wicket, and he was the non-striker, John Wright.
Good shot, full face of the bat, this one by John Wright.
Worn out of Coney. No ball.
Really unforgivable, bowling no balls in one-day cricket. Not only gives the batsman an opportunity of scoring off that ball, but you have to bowl another one as well.
.175 for 3. This is the 39th over. Opening partnership between Ken Rutherford and Bruce Edgar of 125. In fact, the first wicket didn't fall until the 27th over, the 28th over, in fact. Not timed by John Wright. Wright wanted the run. Coney was going to stay at home. David Boone made a good save, and the end of the 39th over sees the New Zealand run rate now slipping below 4.5. It's 175 for 3.
Like crying. I suppose that's a fairly common trait of Australian captains recently. But Alan Border, he has really done a fine job for Australia in the last year or so, and it must be a very frustrating thing for him But things coming around a wee bit, and I'm sure some of the Australian batsmen will enjoy the opportunity of getting onto this park and having a bat. It was an interesting decision that he should put New Zealand in. I would have thought that maybe he would have wanted to bat, see if he could get a big score and back his bowlers, but he's decided to back his batsmen in a chase.
Bruce Reid's last over, bowling to Jeremy Coney. Easy run. Coney goes to 18, and it's 176 for 3.
Jeremy Coney, on the other hand, of course, you're very excited about the last week or so. The team really seems to have come of age after a bit of a hard time in Australia. Of course, they won the series earlier on in the tests. Didn't have much joy in the one-dayers, but played very well under Dunedin.
Wright calling for the run, quick shy at the stumps, but John Wright is quickly through. Took on Greg Matthews, and that takes some doing, and Wright takes a 1 run.
Well judged this way, John Wright. He just hit it fairly gently down on the onside. Bruce Reid couldn't make it. There was a bit of confusion with the umpire as well, but in the end Matthews made a bit of a hash of it, and Wright was easily home.
th over being bowled now, 177 for 3. Big slog by Coney, chips it just over Border's head and gets 1 run. Badly timed stroke.
Jeremy Coney certainly taking up the challenge, but not hitting it at all well. In fact, looks like he got on the bottom of the bat. Strong offside field, Bruce Reid. 2 men deep and 2 men up, but this one was very delicately judged.
John Wright also going for it. We'll get a couple for this. Not the most elegant stroke in the world, but it's worth 2 runs. Good throw from Simon Davis.
Last 2 shots, an indication of New Zealand's intention. Lost a bit of poise here. Wasn't quite up to John Wright. He was charging down the wicket. Managed to get it away over the infield on the onside.
Well, Bruce Reid is almost at the end of his bowling spell, and he's had an extra delivery added by bowling a no ball.
Bruce Reid has had problems throughout the tests with this no balling problem. A fairly long stride, which is obvious.
No run again for John Wright, so barring a no ball or a wide, Bruce Reid has just 1 ball to go in this very good spell. Not easy for bowlers on this Lancaster Park pitch. It's really giving them no assistance whatsoever. And he has bowled very well, Reid. 2 for 44. And indeed, that is the last ball of Bruce Reid's spell. 40 overs completed now, 181 for 3. 81 for 3 then, 40 overs gone, and the New Zealand run rate just a shade over 4.5. Excellent contributions there from Ken Rutherford and Bruce Edgar, associated in an opening partnership of 125.
Well, I think we're in for a very interesting last 10 overs. 7 wickets in hand, and New Zealand, they'd be looking for 250 plus, which would mean they'd need 7 plus and over. So there's plenty of runs to be scored, and obviously I think New Zealand, that's what New Zealand will be after. So Stephen Waugh is the man who'll try and restrict that performance, and he may well pick up a wicket in the process. 7 overs he's bowled for 25 runs. Not a bad performance by Stephen Waugh.
So one bowler's through, that's Bruce Reid. Good solid stroke by Coney, well stopped by the bowler. Was bowled well here, as he did in Dunedin, in fact. Crashing shot by Coney, just the 1 run though. Jeff Marsh has had plenty of work out on that boundary today.
Jeremy Coney advancing down the wicket, standing high again. Bowling on a good length, Stephen Waugh, restricting the batsman well, straight and a shade short of a length, which is difficult to get away.
One this time for John Wright. Good sprawling save by Dave Gilbert, coming in from long off. And the New Zealand total now 183 for 3, 41st over being bowled.
Looks like both the New Zealand batsmen are looking to come down the wicket to Waugh.
Big hit from Coney. This should be 4 runs, indeed it is.
It was well played by Jeremy Coney, because he had advanced down the wicket and he fooled Waugh that time. He hovered on the back foot and Waugh was just a shade short, anticipating the fact that Coney was going to come down, and just gave him the opportunity to swing him away over into that vacant mid-wicket area. So well played by Jeremy Coney.
Another run here for Coney, down to Gilbert. So the New Zealand batsman picking up the rate now into the 41st over. 188 for 3. Jeremy Coney 25 not out. And John Wright on 5, facing Waugh. Once again, Wright takes the single. That's the end of the over from Waugh. And it's 189 for 3. 9 for 3 then at Lancaster Park. The New Zealand run rate is up to 4.6. And there's a change of bowling. We have Craig McDermott coming back.
Forward, down to the wire as it were, as far as New Zealand innings is concerned. But they hold plenty of trump cards with all those wickets in hand. And Coney just looking like he might be coming into some pretty good form. He's a very good improviser, Jeremy Coney, and he's making a few indications, and one would imagine that he's asking Richard Hadley to pad up. That sign with the hand indicated that the seam bowler Hadley, I would imagine, is the man to put the pads on. So that would mean that we wouldn't see Bruce Blair next, and I think that's a wise decision, because obviously Hadley has the ability to put bat to ball. So it's McDermott to John Wright.
Once again, Greg Matthews in the action. Had a shy at the stumps, then suddenly thought, my goodness, I might be giving away an overthrow here.
John Wright looking to get after McDermott again. Didn't really time it at all well, but he did beat McDermott, which encouraged John Wright. But of course Matthews was very close in there. And interesting noise he makes when he misses the wickets.
Seemed to take the pad of John Wright. Batsmen have crossed. And leg bye signalled by the umpire, Roger McCarg. So the New Zealand total to 190 now for 3. It's just the 42nd over being bowled, and it's Craig McDermott in his 7th.
Jeremy Coney still wearing that forearm guard because he got his arm broken in the West Indies, being bombarded over there by their quicks.
Alan Border having a shy at the stumps. Coney would have been home anyway. Coney now to 26. It's 191 for 3. 4.6 New Zealand scoring at. So I suppose they're still looking at around 250.
Yes, I think so. At the start of the last 10 overs, they needed 7 and over to achieve that 250 mark, but they should be looking at that with these wickets in hand.
John Wright gave himself a bit of room, hit it straight to Stephen Waugh though. The Australian bowling has settled down too of late. We've had some good bowling from Waugh and Reid. And Craig McDermott, I thought, bowled pretty well in his opening spell. He's back now for his to see out his 10. And straight down the throat of Greg Matthews, so John Wright is out. And New Zealand lose their 4th wicket at 191 in the 42nd over.
John Wright, he was going after the bowling, advancing down the wicket a little to Craig McDermott. Tried to hit him over the top, but never got hold of it, and hit a relatively easy catch out to Greg Matthews at mid-off. So John Wright is out.
So it's 191 for 4. 191 for 4, with John Wright, the last player, out for 6, and the man out there with Jeremy Coney is Richard Hadley. And joining me in the commentary is Jeff Howard.
Good afternoon, Grant. A good fight back from Australia the last 40-odd minutes. At one stage struggling a little bit with Rutherford, Edgar going very well. They've pinned back New Zealand's scoring rate to just over 4.5. An interesting point coming up, Grant, as to whether Australia will bowl their full quota of 50 overs. About 6 minutes to bowl 8 overs, with the bowlers bowling off long runs now.
Nice stroke again by Jeremy Coney. Should pick up 2 here. Indeed he will. So Coney goes to 28 with that stroke, and he'll be aware that Australia may not go through to 50.
Typical Coney shot in this session. Full of aggression. Not quite connecting sometimes as well as he would like. But ineffective. He goes on to 28.
Well, that's a good ball from Waugh. Coney's going to get 4, I think. Oh no, great effort by McDermott. Superb effort. He only saved 1 run, but it could be important in the long run.
Good ball this by Waugh, but Coney just squeezes it out, down to find a 3rd man. And a good example of how the Australians' fielding has been picked up over the last 45 minutes, whereby before they were a little bit sloppy. They've picked things up, dived around, cut off ones, and generally done a good job.
Why? Well, there's no doubt about it. For all the world to see, it's a wide.
Waugh's been having trouble with no balls throughout his spell, and now troubled a bit with direction. Down leg side, correctly called there by Fred Goodall.
Hadley calls for the single, easily taken. So Richard Hadley has his first run. And New Zealand go to 198 for 4 now. In the 43rd over. Nicely worked again down to long on by Jeremy Coney. 1 run. Coney to 32. The total up to 199 for 4.
For New Zealand to reach a relatively good target on this track, they'll have to get that scoring rate up to 5.
One more to Hadley. Yes, no, 2 in fact. Those are the sort of mistakes that creep into one-day cricket. Dave Gilbert, just a slight fumble. And they take 2 runs to bring up the New Zealand 200.
Richard Hadley could be the man to up this rate. Fine strike of the ball. And he'll be looking when he gets a couple of balls under his belt to crunch a few boundaries. Looks like he's done there. Ball spraying down the leg side. And Hadley with ease picks it up over short fine leg. Again, Ward just straying down. As I said, there's no fine leg. He's been brought up. And an easy 4 runs there by Hadley.
So at the end of the 43rd over, 205 for 4.
This morning on the toss sent New Zealand to bat. He must have known it was a very good wicket and a big score probably in the offing. But he's backed his batsmen to be able to chase the runs and to attain victory.
Simon Davis is going to bowl now. Craig McDermott had just 1 over from the southern end. Now Simon Davis is going to take over from him. So one would imagine McDermott will pick it up again. This is the 44th over, with New Zealand at 205 for 4. Jeremy Coney was going to put that one way over the #1 stand if he could. And when he missed, he had a quick look at Roger McHarg to see whether in fact it was a wide.
Yes, Jeremy Coney gave it everything, but on that occasion the ball close enough to Coney for umpire McHarg to let it go through as a legal delivery.
Out to Greg Ritchie. Going to run another one on Ritchie's throw. Coney will have to stretch, which he does. Good running.
Good cricket all around this by everyone concerned. Good delivery, good blow by Coney. Ritchie getting around that boundary very quickly and then getting the return back. Good running between the New Zealanders. Excellent cricket all round.
Well home in the finish, Jeremy Coney. 2 to him. He goes to 34. It's 207 for 4 in the 44th. Pulls that one away. Out to Jeff Marsh. Just the 1. Another lovely throw from the West Australian opening batsman.
Again, Porter has not got a fine leg down there, but he's got a man on square, and if Davis does stray down the leg side, he could get picked up fine to give 4 relatively easy runs for New Zealand.
Big hit by Hadley. In comes Ritchie. Oh, he's missed it. Well, that was an awkward one for Greg Ritchie. He might have been a bit slow to pick it up, but he made the effort to go for the catch. He didn't hang back.
Yes, it's difficult for Ritchie here. He's probably in 2 minds as he's running in, whether he goes for the catch or does he just hang back and try and stop the 4 runs. In the end, he went for the catch, misjudged it. 4 runs.
This one might be over the top. Ritchie, oh, he took the catch this time. Well judged. And Richard Hadley is on his way. And New Zealand are now 200